We've already chosen our top 5 Thanksgiving foods. We did that last year. The meal is over, and it's game time. Our top 5 board games coming your way next. Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. Moving off of the music and movies. We don't do it very often, Eric, but sometimes we do. We want to, it can't be always music and movies. We don't want people to think that that's all we ever do, although that wouldn't be a bad life.
Would not.
No, that is all we ever do.
I don't know. Maybe no comment.
No comment. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in case if you wanted to do more than just music and movies, we've got a great show ahead for you. A fun topic. Like I alluded to in the opening, last year we did a top 5 Thanksgiving dinners. We all assembled a dinner plate, which was quite fun. So I thought this year for our Thanksgiving episode, it'd be fun to after the meal is over. Right? Nick and Sean, usually football. Football is a big thing on Thanksgiving, but not everybody likes football.
Why would you not include me?
I'm getting to you.
No, but why would you just say Nick and Sean football as if women don't like football? Just out of a
boy.
This
This already
getting
feels
to
like
you.
Thanksgiving dinner.
We're getting to you.
See, that's the vibe we're trying to create, right? We're trying to create that classic family.
There you go.
It's called opening up the conversation.
This is
So,
we're trying to keep the
that
real.
was for Nick or for Sean to go ahead and.
Why wouldn't you ask me to pass you the gravy? Why do you?
Because it goes clockwise.
And it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All the foods go clockwise. So you might be the first person, or you might be the last person to get stuff. And if you're the last, there's usually none left. So anyway, Christy, notwithstanding, that was going to be my intro to start to introducing our guests. But anyway, so yeah, football is a big thing on Thanksgiving. I think the Lions is the team that always plays on Thanksgiving. There's always one team. I think it's the Lions or the Cowboys or one combination, right? They always play on Thanksgiving.
Correct.
But not everybody digs that, So we're here to offer some alternatives. If you've got a big family or you like to play some games, we're just going to throw up some of what our favorites are. And joining us for this is Ms. Christy Cuomo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing
Thank you,
better
Sean.
now that you've been introduced.
She is here.
Next up, Sean Grady. How are you? Sean Grady is the purveyor of drama from the past, and you can find them on Facebook, Instagram. In the lower Hudson Valley, they do a lot of great reenacting, but is now the kind of slow time for you in the winter to kind of, or do you go indoors?
Hence the beard. So when the beard. Although I will be growing a beard for one of my shows and then shaving out the middle of the beard for some nice mutton chops. So that's I'm versatile.
Are you doing Wolverine the musical?
I've been told I look like Wolverine when I do that. Yes, and I'll take it. I'll take Wolverine.
Logan the musical.
Exactly. Hence the your moniker there, Sean. I must break you.
That's correct.
What's that about?
Because I play board games to win. I don't cheat. I will not cheat, but I will play to win. I don't give you a chance to win. It's not your turn to win. Oh yeah, no.
I must
cutthroat.
I'm intense.
I must break you. Yeah. I must break you. So Sean is with us. Great to have you, Sean. And of course, Mr. Nick Leshy, who has the City of Kick blog.
Thank you.
Entertainment. He writes about all things entertainment. He has no bounds, unlike us. We stay in a narrow lane. But Nick covers it. Whatever tickles his fancy, he goes ahead and scratches the itch and writes about it. So we'll be dropping a link to historical drama in there and to City of Kick blog. Those will both be in the show notes as well. Welcome aboard, Nick.
Thank
and
you
Nick
so
is Nick is beardless, unlike
beardless, smooth shaven, clean shaven.
I do
like
have
me.
something growing, but you can't see it because it's
stubble. We can see him.
It's completely white. So yeah, like if it goes any longer, it'll be Santa. And
we were just talking about the merits of
it.
Just need the wig and the hat, and you're all set.
Yeah. Okay.
You could be like Ed Asner in Elf as Santa.
Okay. Yeah.
He was.
Or the Rankin Bass Rudolph, the bald Santa, from Rudolph.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about some board games and have some fun with it. Like I said, not everybody partakes in the football. Some people like to sleep after they've eaten. Sometimes, you've eaten so much that you just need to hit the couch and kind of grab a couple of Z's and recover, get ready for round 2 of dessert or Some families, do you guys ever have like the second meal of leftovers on Thanksgiving? Like some families eat early, some families eat later in the day. So it depends on what your family did. Our family, we'd eat around 1 or 2 o'clock. So we'd eat dessert and then maybe some cold stuffing later. Has anybody done that?
When I was young, when I was a kid, we'd maybe. Yeah. But then again, it seemed like every year we'd eat dinner later and later. So yeah.
The first few years that I was married, we did like double dinners. We would do lunch at one family, then go have dinner at another, or go to have dessert. It was too much. So
it's a marathon. It's a marathon.
Or the other.
Traditionally, no. We would just have dinner then dessert, and then if you like Eric, if you had a little bit a couple of spoons of cold stuffing or a turkey leg. But one year we went to. My brother was married and very Italian, and they would have like Sunday dinner, and then a few hours later was Thanksgiving. So it was 2 dinners, and it was just like So I was like, no one's hungry, but you have all this like, and that to me that's just overkill.
You got to eat, right, Sean? It's like
same thing, or. I like a turkey leg at the end of the night. Sometimes finish, the sweetness. I like to finish salty with something.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, Sean did it to soothe his palate, not because he was a glutton like me.
Sean, I agree with you 100% on that.
My grandmother used to make
good to end on sweet.
Right.
She would make homemade chicken soup for lunch while they were making dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. So we'd all sit around and have really nice chicken soup, and then you have to wait until like 5-6 o'clock to eat, but it was worth it.
Cool. Absolutely.
Sit around and so it's but it's just like a palate cleanser to
I think as you get older you kind of you do get some wisdom, and it's like I don't need to eat all day just because it's there. Right. It used to be kind of just like a free-for-all.
That's not wisdom. That's metabolism.
A little bit of both. It could be biology. It could be psychology.
It's true.
It's one of the ologies. But as you get a little older, you're like, you can't do it anymore, right? It catches up with you, or you do get smarter about it. Be like, pick your battles so you can kind of don't have that feeling. But anyway, after you've had your first or second or third meal, depending on what you're doing. A lot of families will like to break out some board games. Some of us do, some of us don't. The list is here for you to choose from if you're looking for some ideas and you want to maybe bring a game or two with you and see what happens. Each one of us has selected our favorite games that we would like to play, Thanksgiving or otherwise. This is not strictly for use on Thanksgiving. Use this list wherever you want. If there's some really interesting stuff, we'll drop some links if you can get it on Amazon or something. It'll be fun. This way you've got some ideas. And if you've got any ideas of games you like to play during the holidays or anytime, drop it in, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know what you like to play too. It's a great conversation because I'm always looking for new things as well. So let's get the ball started. And we'll go with Christy first. So ladies first. Top 5 games that we like to play. This is a Thanksgiving edition, but it's good. This is a perennial list for whenever you need to pull it up. Go for it.
Again, you're saying board games, but you did put in a little
whatever games.
A game.
Whatever.
So for me, nostalgic purposes, 500 card rummy.
500 card rummy.
Rummy 5, yeah.
Yeah, my nana.
It's not 500 cards. It's called Rummy 500, right?
Yeah, I know. I called it 500 card rummy, but I was a kid, so I certainly could have been saying it wrong. But my great grandmother, my nana, was a big card. She loved playing cards. So when people would go in the living room and watch sports, or typically pretend to watch sports and fall asleep, most of us, the kids and stuff, we'd be in the dining room, before dessert, and so 500 card rummy was what we would play, which I guess is odd when you're like a bunch of 8-year-olds playing 500 card or 500 rummy. But
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lost art. A lot of older generation adults would sit around the table playing cards.
Right. Yeah, my grandfather,
all kinds of games. And this was in the era of the smoke-filled kitchen, also, where there'd be like a haze of smoke. They're all smoking. The guys are drinking, and they're just playing cards. It was just kind of so they were playing games even back then. It was just
No, cards were huge on both sides of my family, even my father's father, my grandfather. And to that point is, you're right, Dean, but that's because they didn't have nearly all the media we have. You were lucky if you didn't have cable TV, most people, and you only had one TV. So it was less media caused people to actually engage more. I think
what we'll do is I'll get the rules for 500 Rummy, and we'll put it in the show notes, because that's a specific game. Might be a little bit obscure nowadays in the days of Texas Hold'em poker and all that other stuff. So we'll put the rules for 500 Rummy.
Christy, when I played that too. It's up to 500 points, right? You're going to get up to, that's where the 500 comes from.
Yeah,
First to 500.
And only Nana took scores, so I hope she was being honest.
She always won. She always won. Yeah. Sean, why don't you go ahead? What do you got? What's your number 5?
I'm gonna piggyback on that one. It's a game called Rummy Cube, also nostalgic purposes. My great aunt and my great uncle were game players, and we used to play games when we'd go up to their house and when we'd see them. And Rummy Cube is like Rummy. It's a game with cubes, and you get a tray, and you put all the cubes in the middle, and then you basically have to match numbers, or you get like a straight, and there's a wild card like a moon face, and I remember in the wisdom of the people that developed Rummy Cube, the colors it was like orange tiles, blue tiles, red tiles, black tiles, brown tiles. And the brown were very hard to distinguish from the black. And my uncle took my aunt's nail polish and put a mark on every single brown tile so that you knew that you had a brown tile when you picked it up and you didn't mistake it for black. So that game has a lot of nostalgia for me. So Rummy Cube, which is like Rummy, and the object was to get all your cubes out and then count up how many points you had, and you kept score like that. So it was a lot of fun.
So you had the first custom set of Rummy Cube, because those were customized for ease of identification.
Yep. Uncle Hank, every single one of those tiles, Aunt Fran's nail polish.
Yeah, these are brown, these are black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you have to pick your own like a color, or like
no?
When you were,
it's whatever you pick. Like it's like a suit of cards. So basically, you got to match up and then put them out, and you could.
Yeah, I never played that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a classic game. Again, I've heard of it. It's spelled Rummy, but K-U-B.
K-U-B. Yep.
It's Rummy Cub.
Yep.
But it's Rummy Cube. I've absolutely heard.
So it's like Eric.
It's Cuber.
That's right.
Eric.
Oh my gosh, that is true.
Rummy Cooper. That's when Eric. That's Eric on the weekends. He's a Rummy Cooper. Hitting the bottle.
Not anymore.
Rummy Cube. Cool. So that's 2 card-based games. Nick, what do you got? What are you going with?
I'm gonna go more electronic, although it is a board game. There was this game, I think it came out in the 90s, called Seen It. Show clips of movies, and it's kind of like Trivial Pursuit, because you would have questions and answer them, but you would have clips. So you had to use it. You needed a TV, and I think it was on a DVD, and you play it. And I love that game. That was like one of my top games, but I would always win. Like, I don't know. My friends weren't like all into like the movies, I guess. So it was hard to find people who wanted to play it, but I was all into it. So that's one of my favorites.
What's the replayability of that though? Because you're only going to have the certain amount of scenes that are on the
but
VHS,
they had extension packs.
Okay.
You still have it, Nick? You still have it? Is it in the garage?
Yeah, because Sean wants to play props. Because you say
props.
You always win.
You know, like I brought like Jenga, the stuff that I rejected, like long games. You know,
that didn't
stuff that my son told me, like artsy fartsy. You know, which is kind of like Pictionary for young kids, right?
Is that what he calls you behind your back?
Yeah. Oh, come on.
He does.
Fartsy.
But all the games that I played, they're like stored away somewhere because we haven't played them in a while. But Seen It is definitely on my top 5 list. So.
That's a good choice. That's a great choice.
Sean challenges you to a game. So
I would love to play it.
He will destroy you. No, that fits it. That's absolutely movie related. So
and it's a board game because you answer questions and move along. You know, just like all the standard games, it's a race to the finish. Who can answer the most and get to the end?
Nice. Eric, what do you got? Number 5.
Well, number 5.
What you like to play?
Keeping in the nostalgic vein.
Oh no, Robbie was number 1 for me. I went the other way. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
It's your first time doing a top 5. So.
All right. You know what?
You're new to it. It's fine.
In this game, there are no rules.
I'm the queen of the top 5 right now.
There you go. Alrighty.
It's true.
Eric was always fascinated. I've never actually played it, but my family used to play it a lot with my aunt and uncle, my grandmother, at Chinese checkers. With the marbles, you know, it was just fascinated by the way the board looked.
Shape of a star, right?
Shape of a star. I mean, you had the multicolored marbles, and you had to move, you know. So it was like checkers, but you're playing with marbles. So it was interesting. I was always intrigued by it, but I never.
Games.
Yeah.
And that's more than one player, more than 2 players, right? I think each.
Oh yeah, you have to have I think 2 to 4,
and you could play teams too, because they could tell you where to move.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Chinese checkers. That's a good choice.
Old. Yeah, I don't even know if they.
Oh, they do. Everything old is new. You can absolutely get a board of Chinese checkers.
I wonder if they renamed it. Because is it appropriate to say that anymore?
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
It still is. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's what it's called, and that's the game. And no, I think that's Chinese checkers is one of those. You hit it right in the head. The nostalgia factor of those kind of games that seems like everybody had, even if people didn't play them. Like there was a Chinese checkers in the closet.
That they you know, like Sean, my family, my mom was very competitive. So was my aunt. So the kids weren't even allowed to play. As I recall, it was cutthroat. It was serious business when they were playing. My grandfather. Yeah, I just remembered that well. But it was never at Thanksgiving. But it was. But on a Saturday night or something. But you know, we weren't even allowed to enter the room because things got serious. You know, like
you lose a fucking marble.
Oh, forget about it. You lose one. You have to have that. Like you find a marble somewhere else that's a totally different color.
Yes, you probably find somebody's eyeball in a bag and mix with the marbles. You know, like in.
Yeah, you're putting the thing out and you're missing like one marble. It's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Yep.
Go get a cheese ball. Get a cheese
gumball. Use that.
Absolutely. I'm going to stick with Christy and Sean's, although it's not a specific game. It is a tool, and it's a simple deck of cards. I think if you're looking just to start somewhere and it's pocketable, it's easy to carry. You can kind of bring it. If it never comes up, games never come up, you didn't bring this big thing with you. You've got a deck of cards in your pocket. And like, you know, Christy's playing Rummy 500, and there's so many games you can play with a simple deck of cards. From single player, you can play solitaire, 2 people, you could play war, you know, you could play 21, Crazy Eights. There's so many different games that you could have fun with just a simple deck of cards. I think it's a nice starting point for people that are looking to maybe I want to try and just kind of introduce something to our family. Grab a deck of cards. They're cheap. You can get them anywhere. You can get whatever you want. A Batman deck of cards. You want a Lilo and Stitch deck of cards. You want Barbie. Whatever it is, you can get whatever type of deck of cards you want. You bring it, and you can get, and then you could just build card houses too. So there's plenty of things you could do with a simple deck of cards to kind of I think get things started. It's a good toe in the water entree. Especially if you're trying to introduce family members to games that don't know, I don't play games. I don't have time for that. Let's just pull out a deck of cards. Oh yeah, okay, let's play. It's something that's really easy to kind of get things going with and dip. It's casual. You could change it. It's not just one thing. It's like, we have to play. No, let's play a different game.
Let's
play a different game of cards. What's that?
Who are you, Worm?
No, it's just a simple deck of cards.
Oh, I did a movie reference.
I know you did, and I just glossed over it.
No, you just don't appreciate good.
I went rolled it right over. So three type of card based games. We got Chinese checkers, and Nick had
seen it.
So there's a movie related one too. So all classics. These are all classics. So Christy, number 4. What do you got? What do you got for your number 4?
Well, I'm going to do number 5 because I did number 1.
Whatever. What's next? What do you got next?
I would do Trivial Pursuit. I was always a fan of that. And you didn't even need to necessarily play the board game. Like you could just kind of like you said with the cards. If you just had the cards, you can make teams and just do it that way and keep score. You didn't necessarily need to actually have.
Sometimes that was better, right?
Yeah, it was better
than the little triangle pie pieces and all that stuff.
Yeah. And obviously, when you did Trivial Pursuit, because there's so many different ones, anything, movies, music, like those I was significantly better at than, unfortunately, I'm sorry, Sean, history. But
wah, wah. But, it was Trivial Pursuit was no joke though. It was like geography. Like,
it was you learned. You learned when you played.
I believe it came out in like 1981, and it took the world by storm. All of a sudden, everybody had a Trivial Pursuit box in there, the Genius edition. Like that was the thing, and it was kind of like, this isn't trying to do Mousetrap or something. This is like really testing your knowledge in an intense way. It wasn't you had to get each piece of the pie.
Yeah, no, it was fun, and you were learning. It was really it was a genius game. It just served so many purposes because you can get kids to play and they're actually learning something.
Yeah.
So kudos.
And expansions galore. Like once it kind of took hold, they probably didn't expect that. To probably like, wow, all these people are buying it. We need more. So it's simple. We just put out an extra box of questions. You didn't need a new board. You didn't need anything. They just kind of here's more questions. We just changed the categories, but the colors match the pieces of the pie that you already have.
Yeah, they kind of follow to a certain extent Monopoly. I mean, not as grand as Monopoly did, but they with the different. Because I don't know if any other two board games really did that that I can think of.
Yeah, there's all different versions. Like Clue has, everything is themed. Everything is themed nowadays. It's very easy to adapt. You're just changing.
No, but back then, I'm not now, but back then,
not so much. Yeah,
I think just the two of them I could think of.
Even the expansion packs were nothing. I mean, it was all Genius level stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like movies, music, whatever, sports.
And you know what you didn't have, Eric? Google.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. It relied on good old-fashioned brain power. And you did learn. Like I said, it was no joke. And I think over time it just naturally evolved into putting the board away and just bringing out the deck. And just kind of sitting around the table, someone would kind of ask the questions, or you'd go around, whatever it was. But the actual, the meat and potatoes of the game became those decks, those expansion decks, where you just bring that out and have it at a table. I've been to restaurants where randomly there's stacks of Trivial Pursuit cards on the table, great. just for conversation, to have conversation and just to kind of start talking about it. And it kind of, I remember one person I know was he's a substitute teacher. And he used to bring the Trivial Pursuit deck with him as a resource of kind of like a way to kind of engage with the kids, because substitute teachers get, Sean will probably tell you, back then got no respect. It was like a free day. He would try and mix things up and at least try and get something in there. So he would bring the Trivial Pursuit decks and ask kind of related questions. So great choice, Trivial Pursuit. They're still going strong too. So awesome. Sean, what do you got?
Well, Trivial Pursuit was also on my list, so right.
There's a match.
So, but I will say this about Trivial Pursuit. I started out. I remember when it came out, it was something we would always play as a family, and we had a junior version, so that was cool. And then I would love that I would get smarter, get up to the regular level. And then, like you said, like I learned, that's a game where I learned things. I remember things I learned from Trivial Pursuit, and it got intense as we got older. And my sisters got older, and my sister, my good friend Pete, Pete, and one of her friends, we were stuck in the house. I think it was like snowing, and we're like, let's play Trivial Pursuit, but it was the Millennium Edition. So this one was like something. My sister and I are 7 years apart, my youngest sister, and some of the things were in her wheelhouse that were not in my wheelhouse because of the age difference. And I usually dominated the Trivial Pursuit, and I was doing very well. And then it started getting like some other things, and my sister started slowly catching up. And my Pete's good, her friend was good, and my sister was having the tougher time. Not that she just was slower to get the questions in her wheelhouse, and then she got them, and you have to get to that last square and get that random question that they get to choose your weakest topic. That's what I love. Like, you're going to get this question, history. No one would give me history because boom, that's not happening, right? So I'd missed the question. They'd missed my sister slowly building up her pieces. She gets up to the top. She gets the question. She wins. She never let me forget it.
And now I understand why you must break people.
Okay, I don't. Right, and I don't think we've never played since. Okay, so it's like wow. We're talking like this is about 20 years now. So it's like she's got that over me, and she never, because she beat her friend who's very good. She beat my friend. She beat us all fair and square, and it was a luck of she did it.
Is she
category. She nailed
7 years older or younger?
Younger. So that's worse.
Things I learned about Sean today. He can carry a 20-year grudge.
Yeah. No, it's
it's his wallet.
Yeah.
It's like the Seinfeld episode. You choose not to run anymore because she won. Why would she play another game to challenge?
No, it's over.
Wow, that explains a lot.
No rematch.
No rematch.
All right, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So what was so you're going to go with the Trivial Pursuit?
It was on the list. I love it. I got to go with it.
Piggybacking.
A lot of fun.
Awesome. Good. Nick, what do you got?
Trivial Pursuit as well on my list. I had the 90s edition.
Okay.
The 90s edition. So I started out with the Genus 2. That was my first entry into Trivial Pursuit. And it was always those categories. And we played the actual board game. So we would go around, collect the pie pieces, and people would just get frustrated and say, just read the cards, like you said. But if we try to finish the game, it was always like those categories where you're like, I'm not good at history, or I'm not good at science, or whatever it was. So the 90s edition broke it up into categories, but it was all 90s information. So I felt like I dominated that, and I really loved it. And now they have video games versions of it. So this was from PlayStation. So I played it with the family, and they love it. And so it's good. And I really recommend video games too. Like there's a lot of them that you can play with a group of people. That's an icebreaker now if you don't want to bring out a board and dice and all that stuff. But Trivial Pursuit still, if somebody has a deck, I'd be like, let's play. Let's just read the question.
Still relevant. I was at an estate sale in person about maybe 2 months ago. And they have all these board games like stacked up, and underneath at the bottom was a sealed copy of the Beatles Trivial Pursuit edition. $2. I bought it. I'm like,
why not?
They're still making it. It's kind of like, even if I never, never open it up, it's for a collectible. It's a nice piece too.
Some of them are so specific though. Like somebody got me like a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, and I'm like, I'm ready to play, but everybody's like, well, I don't know that much Star Wars trivia. So I have not played it once because I couldn't find somebody to play.
You say tough, you're player 2.
Sean's sister's available.
Yeah, she's not a Star Wars fan, but so
the ringer. Sean would be the ringer. You get Sean to play, you'll do fine. You can find 2 other people. Trivial Pursuit, three ways around. Eric, what do you got? Is it Trivial Pursuit?
Trivial Pursuit.
Number 4.
Holy moly!
And I just remember. Some of this, it's curious. I'd be curious to like research like what came first, like as far as expansion, because I remember getting the classic Disney movie edition, and it was just that. It was just the films, like the classic animated films, and then I had the Lord of the Rings edition, which was great. And like Nick, nobody knew that much about Lord of the Rings, and it wasn't just the films. It was also Tolkien. It was like they put a lot of the actual mythology in that as well, which I liked. It was really, I didn't know that much. I had read the books, but I didn't know half as much, but it was interesting. But of course the films had just come out. So everybody kind of knew, at least,
baseline
at least just enough to get a game going,
I think those editions, specialized editions, can humble you because you think you're a huge fan, and all of a sudden you're like, I just got like 20 questions wrong. It's like I don't know as much as I thought I did.
I mean, they really get deep. Like the Star Wars one, I mean,
think about this. Someone has to research and write those questions.
Yeah.
Right. Like
great job.
Like just think for like general Trivial Pursuit, right? They've got to do a geography, arts, sciences, whatever, blah blah blah. And then if you're gonna have something like a Lord of the Rings or a specialized one, you still need 20,000 or 10,000 questions, whatever it is.
Yeah,
you got to dig deep, and you really have to and it's got to be correct, right? Because you might run into the person that knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now you got to appreciate that the amount of research that goes into making a Trivial Pursuit game as well.
Now there's like a handful of wrong answers in all those decks. So you wonder if somebody was playing and got one of those wrong answers, and to this day now thinks that's the correct answer.
It was in Trivial Pursuit. It must be right.
That's right.
That's like arguing with an encyclopedia, right? You don't ever say an encyclopedia is wrong. And Trivial Pursuit became that for us, right? It became like the de facto way to get knowledge and information. It's like, well, I learned this from Trivial Pursuit. I didn't know what the periodic table name for helium is or whatever, but it was in Trivial Pursuit. And then
now we have Wikipedia.
Wikipedia and Google and
which could be updated by anybody. So don't trust Wikipedia.
Don't trust Wikipedia.
So I had a different game, but I think we're just going to go with Trivial Pursuit for number 4 all around, because it's just, I think it's a game. It's got that kind of stature, it seems. That it was one of those ones. If you're going to try Trivial Pursuit, if anybody's never played it before, it's going to be, no matter what edition, even if you like Sean said, if you pick an edition that you like, you're going to be challenged. You're gonna be put to the test, but it is a fun one. Note, if you do play the game, it'll probably take a while. So if you're looking for something that's short, Trivial Pursuit is not that. Trivial Pursuit can take a while.
Like Sean said, it's a good snowed in day, or like if you're just stuck in the house and you're not going anywhere, it's a good it's a long game.
Chess. It's almost like chess. You can leave it and come back to it. If you're playing it at a gathering or something, you could start it early and play, and then walk away from it, do some stuff, eat, and come back to it. It's not going to go anywhere.
It's funny when you play with the board and you have the dice. Like, I've got it memorized. It's like you're on roll again, you get a 2, you got the wedge, or you go 5, you get the other wedge. 3, it's going to go back to roll again. Like, I knew, like, I'm like, come on, like, how do you not know? It's just move the piece, like, because it takes so.
Wow.
Yeah, you memorize what you need and move.
The Rain Man of Trivial Pursuit.
Oh yeah, no, I had it down because I was like, "Come on, let's go."
Sean used to wear a
the
gray
video
suit.
game. You can do the express version, so you could like narrow down how many pie pieces you're going for, narrow down the category.
He's really pushing that video game version of it.
6 and the 7th question was random.
When you hold that up, it looks like Simon. Remember?
Yes, it does.
A little
like Simon, yeah.
It does look a little bit like Simon. Cool. All right, that was number 4. Christy, what do you got for number 3 as you move closer to the camera so you're better centered? There you go. Number 3. Did you write anything down?
No, I have them. They're not really in any particular order.
Okay, that's fine.
I was actually always a fan of the board game, and it's really a no-brainer. But Sorry, do you remember Sorry?
Yeah, of course.
I liked Sorry. I just was a fan of that game.
Sorry, slide the piece down and hit the person if they were on that last thing with the slide, and you'd slide down and they'd have to go back to their starting point. Right, that's a classic. I think that was Parker Brothers. It might have been. There was the big 3. It was like Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley, and Hasbro were like the 3 big. Board game titans of the time. Like if it wasn't from one of those, maybe Mattel or maybe some other one, but Hasbro, Parker Brothers, and Milton Bradley were the 3 big ones. So Sorry is another easy one. You pick your color. It's a roll and move game pretty much. You roll a dice and you move, and then you do whatever, if you land on a space and it tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah, like I just remember being very young, and you can grasp like as you're being introduced to board games after Candyland and Chutes and Ladders, after like those types of games, when you're getting into more adult games, like that was a nice transitional game from the kid games. So it's just, again, another nostalgic type of pick for me.
Good. Cool. Sorry. Sean, what do you got?
I'm going to go Pictionary. Pictionary is another one that we battle in my family, and
me and I'm going to Sean's house for a holiday.
Yeah, me and my sister, the one that beat me in Trivial Pursuit, we would always like to be on the same team because we could draw well, we can kind of get each other, and basically it's fun. Like you draw things, it's like, what is that? Looks nothing like that. Like, how could you do that? Like, no, like, how do you not see that? Like, what is that? Like, and like other people, and like just kind of like really doing well and kind of piling on and moving through the board. People are still in the back, still trying to get off the one square they have. So I have a lot of good memories of playing Pictionary, a lot of intense Pictionary games. They wouldn't want my sister and I to be on the same team because it wouldn't be fair. So it's like, working with somebody else is difficult. It's like, but so it was a lot of fun.
Sean, did you ever see We're the Millers?
I've heard. That's the one with Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis.
So there's a Pictionary. Yeah. So there's a Pictionary scene.
Well, now I'm gonna have to
watch it. The movie's hysterical, but watch the Pictionary.
Is that the one with? Was that the one where the movie was Crash? Because I was going to say there's a scene in a movie where they're playing Pictionary and it was just all lines on the thing, and the guy's like, it's the movie Crash.
Oh. No, this was he drew.
How did you not get that? And they're like, it was just a whole bunch of lines.
I think it was a skateboard he drew, but it was like obscene things were being yelled out that I won't say on the podcast. But what it looked like, phallic type things. But it's actually a very funny movie. If any of you have right, Eric, it's hysterical. I laugh every time I see it. So you know what I'm talking about, Eric.
I love Jason Sudeikis. He's fantastic. Yeah. Me and Kelly are big fans of him.
So. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
All right, Pictionary, and then watch We're the Millers.
Okay. And then play Pictionary
after you've played Pictionary to get the not so clean, the NSFW version of Pictionary. Like I said, there was one I'm thinking of where they were yelling out stuff and they were Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever. It was just all these lines and they kept on dotting the thing.
Maybe that was. Do you remember Game Night with Jason Bateman?
No, it wasn't that.
Because they played. They play? They might have played something like that in there.
I'll have to remember. Anyway, moving on.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say one more. It was another Jennifer Aniston movie, the one with Vince Vaughn, Breaking Up. Might have been that one. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
I think so.
I should have. I didn't know it would come up Pictionary, so I should have researched. But anyway,
moving
on. Mr. Nick Leshy, the professor of gaming.
Now, if you play Pictionary, I think you got to use the big drawing board, though.
That's win, lose, or draw. That's win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, but still, I think you need for party. Anyway,
chart paper. That's a little hard to come by.
Artsy again. That's another drawing game. But for me, it's got to be categories. Have you ever played that?
Yeah.
So that's good because I like making lists. The rules are simple. It's like they give you a category. Everybody has to write down as many words in that category as possible. Then you compare. So if anybody matches yours, you cross it out. So you have to be original. Whoever has the most unique words that nobody else has picked that fits that category, they win that round.
Yep.
So fun to play. I love making lists. I used to love that kind of stuff. So that was a great game. Loved it.
Yeah, categories. Another classic from the 80s.
I think there's an X-rated version of that game.
Results.
Probably.
We didn't play that one.
I think they make an X-rated version.
Maybe X-rated
about everything.
Yeah.
Wait, Nick, you didn't play the X-rated version of categories, but you played Truth or Dare with your family.
The G-rated version, my friend. The G-rated version.
I didn't know there was a G-rated version of Truth or Dare.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
Well, uncomfortable
Those
silence.
who are just tuning in, that's a prior episode. They're going to have to dig up that reference.
Yeah, I don't know. It's lost on me as well. So
no, it was through the email thread.
Oh, okay.
I know what she's talking about.
Yeah. Well, okay. Moving on, Eric, help us out of this tunnel.
Eric's the only one that gets me.
Quickly digging ourselves into. What do you got for your number 3 game?
Well, number 3, I'm going to sort of bridge the gap here. I mean, I've only played it, I guess maybe probably on one hand, I could count the amount of times I've actually played it, but I would really, really love to play chess. I would really like to learn how to play chess seriously. And I don't have anybody who's interested in chess. I actually, there's a kid that I work with now. He's doing this social experiment where he's asking all his coworkers all of these questions and stuff. So I said, because what game would you like to learn how to play? And I'm like, I would love to learn how to play chess, So what do you think? He comes in with a chessboard and pieces from the Star Trek, the tripod Star Trek game, but he didn't have that board, but he made this board out of cardboard. And he's like, I'm going to teach you how to play chess. I'm going to teach you to. I'm like,
that's neat. Yeah.
I said, I don't know where we're going to find this kind of time. It's Thanksgiving. We're supposed to be working. I don't think they're going to like us playing chess, but but cool. I thought that was really cool of him.
Yeah.
It just, think of me like that. So yeah, but I always wanted to learn. I was always jealous because apparently Zach went to visit my parents for a couple of weeks, and this was years ago, and my dad taught him how. I never knew my dad knew how to play chess.
Oh,
he comes back and Zach, I was playing chess with Grandpa. I'm like, what? Taught me how to play. I didn't even know he knew how to play, but there it is,
Yeah, chess is always like the cousin to checkers. Like after you've done checkers, you move on to like the chessboard, and
you turn the board over.
I feel the same way. I know how to. I know the basics. I know the moves, but there's more to it. You can only get so far, and it's kind of a strategy, a lot of thinking ahead of time, and
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
Then you watch the really getting Gambit. Into it.
Yeah,
I know that was good. That was
you
good
watch
series.
the Queen's Gambit. You're like, I thought I knew how to play chess. These people would beat me in 2 moves. The game would be over.
Another good chess movie is Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
With Joe Mantegna.
Child makes you feel like a.
Yes, he makes you feel like totally. He's a savant. I just know how to play. Ben Kingsley. That was a great.
That was a really good movie.
We were talking about spin-offs though, like even chess. My kids have like a Harry Potter chess set, and so
the Civil War chess set from the 80s. Remember that commercial?
Yes,
the
Sean.
Civil War chess set.
The Bradford Exchange.
Like Dean, our friend John, right? John Cruz. He had bought this thing. It was like a table. The chessboard was an actual table, and it was made out of like, I don't even know. It was like marble, and it was so specific. It was the.
Wasn't it like the Knights? Wasn't it King Arthur?
No. It was the Indian. Egyptian? Like it was. They mentioned it in Temple of Doom, where it was the British when the British, the British invaded India and they took, tried to take, and it was the mutiny of 1857 or something like that, and it was that specific was the board. It was the Indian fighters, and then you had the British soldiers, and that was it. It was like, what? Why this of all things? Like, why not ancient Rome? Why not, Star Trek? What made you get this? And he's just, I just thought it looked cool, I don't know if he ever really played it, who played it with him. I mean, that's a serious board. I think it probably cost a ton of money too, I would imagine.
All right.
Yeah.
So your number 3 is chess. Cool.
Yeah.
My number 3 comes from 1956, Milton Bradley. A game of chance and strategy. Yahtzee.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Yahtzee, an easy game to pull out and play. It's kind of a cousin to playing cards, because basically what you're doing is you're completing hands. Like poker hands, 3 of a kind, full house, all the ones. So there's a dice rolling element of luck, but then strategy of figuring out, well, what are you gonna what hand are you gonna go for? It comes with a pad so you can keep score. Again, easy to kind of pass around. It does get a little annoying when you just hear the shaking of the dice in the can. You get one with a felt interior, so it's not like the cheap plastic jangling. But Yahtzee's been around forever. I think it's one of those games also that's very easy. You pick it up, you play it. You can get through a round in 15, 20 minutes, depending on how many people there are. So it's one of those quick in and outs. You don't need specific knowledge like Trivial Pursuit. So if you just want something that's, again, like kind of an easy breezy game, I think Yahtzee is one of those ones that's kind of been there, like in everybody's toy closet or game closet at one point or another. It's and it's one I always go back to because it's so easy to pick up and play. And everybody kind of, again, even if someone forgot or doesn't know, it's visual. They show you what the dice hands should be or what you're going for, and you go for it, and you put a little strategy in. And if you get a Yahtzee, get all 5 of the same, you yell Yahtzee and you get yourself some extra points there. So my number 3 is Yahtzee from 1956. Classic. Milton Bradley. Who was Milton Bradley anyway? Did he actually like games, or was he just a businessman in it for the money?
Wonka of board games.
Yeah, I don't know. We got to find out about that guy.
So it's just one guy? I thought it was 2 guys.
No, is it Milton Bradley, or is Milton Bradley a guy? Is it?
No, I think Eric's right. I think it's 2 people.
Milton / Bradley.
And Nick, you might remember Milton Bradley played for the Indians in the 90s.
With the
baseball players. Oh, wow. Yeah, Milton Bradley was his name.
That's so funny.
There we go. All right.
I think it's like Eric said, though. I think it's like Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. I think you got different game makers that combined their name and created an empire. So
yep.
I'm sorry. He's one person, Milton Bradley.
He was?
There
we go. I think Eric
almost did it on his birthday. He was born November 8th of 1836 and died May 30th of 1911.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
See that? It was one dude, Milton Bradley.
And he was married. That was a Trivial Pursuit question right there.
He was married and had no children. So board games seemed the way to go.
Yeah. Wow. Kind of creepy then.
What should I take up today?
This biography took him like to turn into the macabre. Milton Bradley, board game extraordinaire, had no children.
It's like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons, like sitting at his desk,
Actually, he doesn't look that far off from Burns.
Yeah, you see that he's got a long beard. He looks kind of like Ian McKellen. He looks like Gandalf a little bit.
See, but can you see?
Oh wow! Yeah.
Wow,
crazy.
That's the guy. I don't know, but he built an empire on
totally.
Games. So anyway, moving on to number 2, Christy. What you
got? He looks a little bit like Christian Bale could play him in a movie. Similar to Eric's pick of chess, but I did play this a lot. Backgammon. I really for a very long stretch of years during my youth loved. Like I even had a nice set. I really liked playing backgammon, which oddly, a few days ago I went into a Starbucks to use the bathroom, and two guys.
Did you buy anything?
No, I'm like George Costanza. I totally know where I can go to the bathroom and not have to purchase anything. And 2 guys were playing backgammon.
That's awful.
It's not awful.
It is.
I contribute to society in many other ways. By not peeing on the sidewalk is one of them.
All righty. And I think in a weird way we thank you for that.
Yes.
I mean,
thanking you for not doing something you're not supposed to do and threatening that you'll do it, but we appreciate the effort.
I didn't threaten I would do it. I say I use a restroom so I don't have to do it.
So does everybody else in the country.
Okay. I mean, and it's nice that particular Starbucks allows for people not to pee on the sidewalk.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. That sounds like a new board game. Don't pee on the sidewalk. Yeah. It's like you have to go to the bathroom. You have to draw cards to get to a place, and then they don't let you in. So then the bladder fills up. It's like a bladder.
Oh my gosh!
Okay. Right? That's a board game in the making. Don't pee on the street.
So has anyone else played backgammon? I know Sean said he didn't. Anyone else?
I've learned how to play backgammon.
Oh. You have or have not?
I have.
Yeah, I actually I have I have one here. It's not the one I had when I was a kid. It was a really nice set. I think Nana was a big game player, so I think I got it from her.
Yeah. Is that a game you could only play like 2 people?
It is 2 players.
It's a 2-player.
Yeah, very much akin to chess in its strategy.
One-on-one, right?
Yeah, and very strategic oriented. You have to kind of think of where you want your pieces to move.
Because there was a time when they were selling these like small airplane versions, right? Yeah. You could bring it with you when you're traveling and just play with the person next to you. Yeah. I think that would be creepy too if you're on a plane. So like, do you want to play some Yahtzee?
Very much like chess, you can play by yourself if you're going to be honest with the moves. Yeah. If you're actually going to play each side
interesting
to win.
Isn't that the game where you, instead of taking the piece away, you turn it over? It's like black.
No, that's Othello. That's Othello.
Okay.
Backgammon is you have like white
and black or black chips.
Yeah, and you have to get all your white chips to the other side, to the black side.
Okay.
And they're going the opposite direction, so you're kind of passing each other. You're trying to block them, but you're trying to get your pieces over. So there's some strategy. It's an interesting game. It's got the points on the board. Like those long.
Right.
Triangular points on the board.
It's almost like a very complex tic-tac-toe, right? You're just trying to block them from their moves.
Yeah, while making your move also. So backgammon, that's a classic, and it's God, I wonder how it's probably pretty old. I'm sure
I'm sure it's probably as old as Milton Bradley with no children.
That's it.
I think it's
His father Atticus Bradley invented backgammon.
He too had no children.
Well,
hence Milton. Yeah, that didn't make sense. Anyway, Sean, what do you got for number 2?
My number 2 is a game that I really enjoy. Again, I'm really competitive. This is a game that I guess I came to later as an adult when Taboo.
Oh yeah,
familiar Taboo. Yeah, you get
from the 80s also, or early 90s.
You get a word or person, and you can't say 4 or 5 things, and the person sitting next to you with the buzzer, like, and you got, you do as many as you can in a minute. And we would have some intense battles with we would go up to this place in the Catskills, Nature's Classroom in Silver Bay, New York, and we'd have some downtime. And at night, the kids would be in their bunks, and the teachers would go in the lounge, and we would play intense games of Taboo. And I was really competitive. Me and another woman were like battling it out. And sometimes you can get negatives, which has happened to me only once. And then when I met my wife, she loved Taboo, so we would have Taboo. And sometimes we'd be on the same team, and we realized that us on the same team, we dominate too much. So then we change teams, and then we're very competitive. And it's, the buzzer is like, it's like, it's really intense if you say the word. And I feel like everybody that uses the buzzer as an electric shaver as a joke. They go as before the game, and without fail, somebody always does it. And even it's fun to see when I play other people that they do it too. Like I guess it's something that just
inherent to Taboo.
It's like you can't help but think it's an electric razor when you use it. Mm-hmm. So it's competitive, it's intense, it's fun. Just cards and a buzzer and a pad keeping score, and you decide what you want to go up to, and it's a lot of fun. And
like a kind of like categories. It's kind of like a quick thinking game. Yeah, like a lot of those games are kind of like you gotta like kind of.
Yeah,
be quick, quick on your feet. You don't have a lot of time, or you gotta answer before someone else does. That was
if you don't get the right person on your team,
you're dead.
Oh, it's done.
Sean will kill you.
Yeah. Sean, I'm curious. You have 2 girls. Do you play board games with them?
We do.
Oh, and how's that go?
We do.
Candyland.
I don't let them win, but
you gotta teach them, right?
Wow, Nick.
You can't make it easy on them.
I'm not saying let them win.
One day they will beat you, and then they earned it.
Yes, the Princess Cupcake game. I couldn't beat them for the long, and it's just luck. But like they've beaten me all the time. And then when I play them in other games, I'm like, it's my turn now.
And Sean threw out the Princess Cupcake game the next day. Yeah, Dad, let's play Princess Cupcake. We don't have that game.
I don't know. Somebody ate them.
Yeah, the cards are gone. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was it in Billy Madison? What was the name of the family? You're going down.
Doyle rules.
Doyle, you're going down.
Yeah.
Doyle rules.
Yeah.
So Taboo. From the late 80s, early 90s. Around a lot of those games, I think, like categories came out around the same time too.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
a resurgence in board games.
That second wave of stuff that kind of was like the anti Trivial Pursuit, where it was like kind of egghead nerdy stuff. This is kind of like like kind of more party style games where people are shouting things out and a little more energetic. So Nick, what do you have for number 2?
Yeah, I mean Taboo is one that I was thinking about too, but in a similar vein with buzzing, there's a game called Last Word. Have you ever heard of that one? Played it? Oh. Where they give you a word. They give you a category, and you have to come up with words, like just shout out. The last person before the buzzer goes off gets the point. So it's all, and the buzzer is random. So it's not like an egg timer. Right. It's just a random thing. So you after a while you start figuring it out, and you're like, okay, I have two words in my head. I gotta strategically, when do I shout it? So it becomes a lot of fun. People screaming, and the buzzer's annoying.
But
that's just called Saturday. That's called Saturday night at my house.
It's perfect.
Screaming and yelling and screaming. That's just
Last Word. That sounds
your
cool.
Your neighbors must enjoy.
And it's a short board. It's a short board, so it's like you don't have to spend like an hour. You can play it in a half hour. It's great.
Cool. So, Last Word, and that's from way back, also, right?
Yeah, like 80s or 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, like I said, there's a pattern there of all these kind of social games of groups of that you're kind of in the living room and you're kind of people are shouting and kind of like Pictionary. It's all there seemed to be that little cottage industry of those types of games.
You think about it, you could make a fortune if you could come up with a perfect party game.
Don't pee in the street. Don't pee in the street. It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
We're gonna.
You know what?
Let's get a patent on that one.
I also don't have children, and I'm inventing a game.
We're gonna put it on Kickstarter. Don't pee in the street. Coming soon.
Truth or Dare, the family edition. It's a bestseller. I'm telling you.
Eric, number 2. What do you got?
Clue.
Hey.
Oh, there's a classic for the ages.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a great one.
I actually have somebody got me a Rear Window game.
Ooh.
But it's kind of like it's like a take on Clue. It's a little bit more complex. I played it once and it was like I don't really like this game very much. I prefer the traditional Clue, but yeah, I always loved that game. I played it as a kid.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
So
that's one of the games that are too complicated to learn how to play, If something has too many rules, too many, you can't do that at a party. You can't
cards,
just jump in and play.
Yeah, Nick just wants to shout.
Yeah,
just shouting.
Shout it out.
Nick wants the game of yelling. No, Clue's one of those ones that have been adapted into all those different themes, like we said earlier.
Right.
The Simpsons version of Clue and this, that, and the other thing. Because as long as the game, and that's the beauty of the game of these games. Then is when you see all these different themed versions. Mm-hmm. It means that the game mechanics itself are strong, that you could put anything on it,
right,
and it'll still work. And that's what Clue is one of those. It's about a murder. You've got the different things of where it happened. It doesn't, it's not important if it's Professor Plum or this one or that one. It could be Homer Simpson, or you can make it about
Homer Simpson in the nuclear plant with a donut.
Yeah, exactly.
The three-eyed fish.
It's a movie.
Yeah, but nothing beats the classic.
Yeah,
murder mystery thing. And I
Professor.
I always wanted to see like a Columbo version of the game, or something like that. Yeah. You
used to have to. You'd have to draw like who did it, where they did it, and what they used, and like put it in the card, manila envelope, like the dossier, right? That had it. It had it in there. And then at the end you'd. The big reveal is you'd pull the cards out and it was
it was great.
Yeah, it was Miss Peacock in the living room with the candlestick or whatever it was. It was great.
This is white.
And just great game mechanics. Like I said, can transcend and you can kind of put anything you want on it.
It almost makes you want to read too, for some weird reason. Like me and my cousin used to play it a lot, so we would always want to read like a good murder mystery book after playing the game. Because it's so fascinating how it's structured, so you just kind of like
Clue,
classic.
And the movie version,
Brown. I like
the movie version, brilliant. With the 4 alternate endings, you didn't know what you were going to see in the theater.
Yep,
that was
Tim Curry.
Poor Tim Curry.
Yeah,
poor Tim Curry. My number 2 is going to be a very obscure game. It's relatively recent. You can still get it, but I've kind of gotten into this kick of small games, literally small in size, and this one is called Mintworks, and it comes it looks like an Altoids tin.
Wow!
Right? It comes in a tin, and literally the game is inside the tin. So again, it's very pocketable, and it's very easy to play. And you could just kind of bring this with you and kind of pull it out. And basically, it's what's called a worker placement game. So basically, you set up the board with all these different cards, and each person gets their workers, which are basically in the shape of mints. It's like you get like a bag of mints. They look like little mints, but these are your guys. These are your workers, and you place them on different areas of the board, and then you get more mints back as they do things.
Like Molly.
It could be Molly. Could be Joe also. I'm not sure. I don't know Molly, but I don't know Joe. But Mintworks is available. This was a runaway hit when it came out, I think in 2017. The company has made all different kind of sequels to it. This kind of started these small games that have great gameplay, but can be taken anywhere. They don't take up a lot of space. So kind of Mintworks is a great one. There's a single player version of this too. So you can just pull that out. They kind of give you some cards of like what the other AI players are and how they move. And it's easy to pick up and learn, and it's a lot of fun. And it's called Mintworks, and it comes in a great, really cool tin also. So from a collector's piece too, it's just nice to have. Doesn't take up a lot of room.
I don't know what you're going to do for food to survive in the and when the apocalypse comes, Dean. But you're going to be
eat the meat.
You're going to be prepared for gaming, though, man. All these little pocket games of yours. Are you going to? Oh, let's play. Let's get.
What we'll do is we'll play Mintworks for food, and then I'll win, and then someone will have to go chop wood for me, and I won't have to do it. It'll be like Survivor. We'll have to play the games.
There you go.
Who will survive? Only Mintworks will decide the winner. All right, we're at our number one, but they're in no particular order. But for numbering's sake, we're at our number one. Christy, what do you got for number one?
Well, I'm going to pick this one because kind of like 5 Card Rummy and Trivial Pursuit, it's a bigger group oriented, so it's more family oriented. And I do feel bad about picking this because I know it's going to be on someone else's list.
Oh, I know it's coming.
It's going to be Monopoly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Just because, again, it's like I always had to be the shoe when I was with the family, or the iron, I think I had the iron all the time. But again, again, a nostalgic type of game. I'm sorry, Dean. But you could have a lot of fun with it. And talk about if you want to be cutthroat, Sean. There you go. If you want to,
That's a good cutthroat game.
There's no better game to really stick it to them if you're doing well. You can definitely. But it's a very fun family game, and it's another one that can go a long time. So it can last a long time. So it's
Monopoly you got to settle in for. It's not going to end in 15 minutes.
Yeah, much like Trivial Pursuit, they started having all these themed ones, which you didn't have to really know anything, unlike Trivial Pursuit, to play them, just appreciate it. But yeah, Monopoly's a good family or group of friends game where you can have a lot of fun with it, assuming you're not playing with Sean.
Which leads like to win. Is that your number one?
No, I thought she said something else, so it's good. It's not my number one.
You didn't know it was coming?
I didn't know it was coming. I was like,
okay. Yeah, no, Monopoly, invented in 1935 by Parker Brothers. Again, one of those ones up to 8 players, but you don't need them all. It kind of taught you a little bit of, some of these games, there was an educational aspect, and that was kind of teaching you about banking and math and
real estate,
calculating rent. Like, I have 3 houses. How much rent is that? So you'd look on the card, and it would tell you if you have 3 houses, it's $135 or one hotel.
And it taught you how much it costs to get out of jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah.
You mortgage your life away, and you're like in debt forever.
Taught you about reverse mortgages, that you started mortgaging your properties to get money to pay someone else. I mean, you learned some hard lessons.
Very hard lessons.
1935, they knew how hard it was going to be.
It taught you didn't want to own the railroad properties or the Orient.
Let's make a game that'll depress the kids.
It's funny
I never wanted the utilities; those were worthless.
Yeah, they were.
Waterworks and electric company; those were
if you ever go to Atlantic City, you can relive Monopoly.
That's where all the street names came from.
Yeah,
from Atlantic City. So, cool. Monopoly number one. So, Sean, what did you think she was going to say, and then what are you going to say?
I thought she was going to say my number one, which is Uno.
Uno.
Oh, I was going to say it, but I went with. I had 2. I was going to say over Monopoly. Uno was one of them.
Yep.
The other one was actually Connect 4. But I went with Monopoly because it just felt more of a group thing for the holiday.
And that's what I chose Uno, because you could play with 2 people. You could play with like up to 8 people.
I did cards.
It's and I play with that. I play with my girls and sometimes my wife, and I will talk so much trash to them. And it's funny.
You're the worst, Sean. You really are the worst.
But what I love is when they start talking trash back to me. That's what I love. And they're like, "Hey, Daddy, how about a nice draw 4?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'll be like, "Girls, the game is Uno, not Tredici," which is like 13 cards, and they have like 13 cards in their hand. So like we have some good battles back and forth, and it's fun. I like when they talk a little trash to me too. It makes it fun.
Another game that's easy to pick up, a quick learning curve. It's numbers and colors.
Yep. So you can
kind of match that. Actually, when I flew out to San Diego, and on the flight they have like the touch screen games, and I played a round of Tournament Uno on there with the AI players and stuff, and it's just fun. Yeah, it's just like Yeah, like, Uno, sure. Everybody come, it's fun, it's easy. Those games go quick.
Or it could go on forever too.
Yeah,
like you think it's over, and then it's gonna another half hour.
Yeah. No, it could go on pretty long.
Flip the deck and shuffle.
Yeah, you flip them again. Yeah.
Especially if you have 2 cards left, and you put down a card that you could choose the color, then you're like yellow, and they're like, well, obviously you have yellow, so we're gonna make sure that you don't get yellow. By the time it gets to you, we're gonna change it. Like, so there's some of those obvious things. So there is some strategy, there's some luck, and there's some planning.
And and you could create your own some house rules. You can alter a little bit if you want. To mix it up a little bit. So it's
Uno's a fun game.
So one of Sean's house rules is if one of his daughters loses, they have to mow the lawn.
That's
house
right.
Rules. House rules.
Hey, you beat me, there's going to be a price.
Get my iced tea, child.
Yeah.
Give me my iced tea.
It's right here. Right here.
His daughter's been running it in. We can't see her. The door opens.
That iced tea was brought in by an Uno losing child.
Yeah, that's right.
Who was forced to crawl with the tray on her head.
That's correct.
Pick 4 and get me my iced tea.
Yep.
All right, Nick, what do you got for number 1?
I liked Uno. I liked a bunch of things. Game of Life. My wife loves Boggle, where you shake it up and then you have to try to come up with words. So my pick is Monopoly. That's a game you love it or hate it. Somebody brings out, you're like, Monopoly, we're going to play forever. You make your own house rules, right? If you have to pay something, you maybe put it under the, so if you land on a certain, the corner, you get the money,
Free parking.
But they have like a fast version of it. So this is the Monopoly card game, which is the same thing, but it's like small deck and it goes quicker. So there's a version they're making these versions that you can do at parties. So it's not going to take you 3 days to finish the game. And then they have the Yankee edition. That's the version I have that I love to play. So it's a little different, and it's not like real estate. You're thinking, I'm buying players. I'm buying, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wait, in the Yankee one, you're buying players?
I believe so. They have like the version I have is like the dynasty era. So you got Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. So you're landing. Obviously, you got the Luis Soho, who's like $20.
Yeah.
And then you go to like Derek Jeter, and that's like Boardwalk,
So who's Boardwalk? Jeter?
That's Jeter, probably. Yeah.
Jeter and Mantle, maybe.
I would love to have the classic Yankees one with Babe Ruth and everything. This was like the specific '90s dynasty, so those players from that.
Yep. Cool.
Did John Wetland make it?
I don't remember. That was early.
Come on! I just wooed you, didn't I?
John Wetland. That was a good
one.
That's right.
You pulled that right out.
When Rivera was the setup man.
Setup man. Yeah, in '96.
Talking baseball now. This is my forte.
All right, so that's 2 Monopolies so far. Eric, we gonna make it 3?
Nope.
What you got?
What my favorite game, Parcheesi.
Ooh, yeah.
You want to talk about cutthroat?
Yes, yeah.
From the very first roll, that's all you are. That's the entire game right there. Is who you going to send home to win?
Yeah.
It's like I guess the more adult version of Sorry.
Yes.
I guess they're kind of similar in that sense. My mom was like, we used to have battles, and she was nobody more competitive than she was with that game. She loved that game so, but yeah, that's probably my favorite. I taught it, to my kids. They loved it. It's just one of those games where it's just it's exciting, So
it's simple. It's a simple layout, and but it gets you right to the point, right?
And Dean, you mentioned I think you mentioned shaking the thing with Yahtzee. I mean, you could tell who's getting pissed off when in Parcheesi when you
shaking
the hands like and it's and it's like just slamming the dice on the table, But yeah, because you get a good run going, right? And then all of a sudden you get sent home. You're like, oh, because you're counting along with the person that's moving, and you're thinking, oh shit, are they gonna see that? Are they not gonna see that? And it's just you're constantly.
Parcheesi's another classic that was just in everybody's closet. Like when you would open the door, you just see like all the board games stacked up and all the names, Chinese checkers, Parcheesi, Monopoly, all these great games were there. And I'm gonna throw my hat into the ultimate original table turning game is Monopoly.
Star Wars edition.
Like
nice.
Nick said, people either love it or hate it, and some people, one person relative said to me, "I'm never playing with you again. You take it too serious." I'm like, it's just a game. I don't really take it that seriously. But, and funny story, this actually became a point of obsession for me. I don't know what it was. Something happened to me. I started buying Monopoly games, and the point it became a problem when I had 75 different Monopoly games that were
Are you serious?
sealed.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just buying like all the themed ones. I was buying, The Simpsons, the Star Wars, Wizard of Oz, Star Trek. I was just buying, I had one that the box was in the shape of Texas. I had it shipped from Texas. So then it became, well, I'm collecting Monopolies. And then for Christmas, just get me a Monopoly, so it became a lot. And then I realized I'm looking at it one day, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of Monopolies sitting on that shelf. Like that, I'm never gonna do it. Like what am I doing? So I sold them all. Like I kept like 3 or 4 that are actually that are collectible. I have a wooden version called the Heirloom Edition.
Very nice.
I have a sealed Wizard of Oz one, which was an original from way back. That's worth something. But it's one of those games. It is a love it or hate it game. It's people that don't want to settle in and play it, or people that let's kind of go through it and play, and so it's kind of it's become more popular just because of all the themed ones. Now people buy it. Oh, Super Mario, I'm going to get the Nintendo one. I don't know if people actually play it anymore. They just buy it.
It's a staple. It's a standard.
Do they buy it because it's like the Super Mario, and I collect Super Mario, and do people actually open them anymore? I'm not sure.
And do people finish the game once if they do start it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've finished the actual game maybe once or twice in my life, but I played it like countless times.
It is long, and that was from Parker Brothers. There's 155 versions of what's called the vanilla version, meaning just Monopoly, unbranded, Monopoly. Wow. There's over 1,000 themed versions. So there's a lot, so like I said, that is trying that broadens the audience, right? It appeals to people. Oh, I love Pokemon. Get the Pokemon Monopoly then, right?
Yeah.
So there is some marketing there of trying to reach people where they live, right? People might not buy a regular Monopoly game, but they'd buy the Super Mario one, or they buy the Lord of the Rings one, just as a collectible to have it. So maybe the game never even gets opened, but Parker Brothers is selling them still. Like there's you can go to Target, you can go to any toy store, and you'll see at least 6 or 7 different versions nowadays.
And there's talk of turning it into a movie.
Really?
They want to. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's one of those, like now every game they think can be turned into a movie.
I've heard, but that's kind of old though, isn't it, Nick? I've heard that I've been hearing that for years.
That's what I'm saying. I've been hearing that forever.
Well, here's the
saying every
time that died with Wilford Brimley.
No, I was going to say Charles Durning is dead, so we can't have a Mr. Monopoly.
It'll probably be like Robert Downey Jr. He will be the Monopoly guy.
Like somebody.
Just Doolittle with gray hair.
Anybody who you want, the Monopoly guy these days, right? It doesn't matter.
Anybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that into a movie though.
What's the movie about?
What's it about?
But like I said, at this point, remember they made a movie. Did they make a movie out of Battleship where they're going?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Which would be?
I think it's just the name Monopoly. I think it depends. People were mocking Barbie. They were like, "That's not going to be a good movie," and that turned into a blockbuster. But
that's not really. Barbie doesn't have a story. Barbie's a doll that she doesn't have a specific thing. Monopoly is a specific thing. You have to be like Wall Street, the movie.
I'm just a messenger.
Wall Street is like Monopoly, basically. I'm surprised there's not a Wall Street version of Monopoly with like a Gordon Gekko token.
You should get Scorsese to make Monopoly.
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 Yeah. Why not have a Goodfellas board?
Collect the rent.
Beat up the guy. I'm gonna be the pipe.
Actually, isn't the movie The Super with Joe Pesci basically Monopoly?
Yeah. It could be. What is there any? Did anybody have any honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I gave my Connect 4, which I think is like the original Tetris. Kind of, right?
No, it's like tic-tac-toe, but with 4 pieces.
Well, you said you wanted a game that we don't.
Yeah, we'll get that too. Right? Yeah, we'll get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get there too.
I'm gonna do
close.
I'll do an honorable mention. This was an accidental discovery in high school. My sister, I told you, is 7 years younger than me, and she got a game called Mall Madness, and I was like, all right, I'll play with you. Like I was like a senior in high school or junior, and me and my friend were like, all right, we'll play with you. And we're like, this game's kind of fun. And next thing you know, like we get home from school and the game would be there. I'm like, You want to play a game of Mall Madness? And we would play Mall Madness. It was like sales at the shoe store. You had a credit card. You had to go to all the stores and buy things and get things on sale. And we had the greatest time playing it without my sister. It was like competitive. We'd be playing Mall Madness without my sister. And she'd come home like, I want to play. I'm like, we're still in the middle of this game. We'll play with you in a second. So it was a lot of fun.
You're a fun brother.
I am. Come on, I played the Mall Mad. I learned how to play with her.
Sean, was there a chess king in the Mall Madness?
Yes, there should have been. There was a chess king in my mall growing up, yes, but not in. There should have been one in Mall Madness. If I could make a game, it'd be Jefferson Valley Mall Madness. That would be good. All the store. That's like, I think that would do. There
was a Suncoast in Jefferson Valley Mall.
There was.
Yes, there was.
Right next to the movie theater. Sean, Nick, what do you got? Do you have an honorable mention that
honorable mention? Operation. Remember that?
Ooh, good one.
That's great. That's fun. Your hands are all shaking after all that food that you've eaten, and
lot of fingers.
Take out the bone, and the sound. You think you're really getting electrocuted. So
was it safe? Was that safe? You got a little bit of a shock, right?
Yeah, you could get a shock from that.
You can get a shock from
that. The old one, probably, not the new one. My daughters have the new one. It's like this thin, the new one, and it's like. It's just like
it's better when you could really get electrocuted.
No, I remember getting a little bit of like a
the voltage was a little bit higher.
Yeah, you were like, I don't want to hit the side.
There's more machinery in the
Now it's like kind of a morbid game. You got to take out the brain, take out the heart.
Yeah. The guy didn't look too healthy anyway. He's kind of overweight.
And in the old game, the doctor has a pipe in his mouth, and he's smoking somebody's got a pipe in their mouth in the old game.
He was alcoholic. He had a red bulbous nose.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. Liver damage.
I would take a couple of belts before I'd operate on him to steady my hand.
Couldn't get the liver out because it was enlarged.
Yeah. Pencil's the hardest one. I play with my daughters. I can't get the pencil out. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's hard.
Who eats a pencil?
Oh. Eric, did you have an honorable mention?
Well, I'm probably going to go with Battleship.
Yeah, Battleship.
My Battleship.
Yep.
And then they made the electronic version.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
Because you could cheat with
sound effects
in Battleship.
No, not really.
Just on trust, it's like you could kind of cheat
if you're that kind of person. Yeah,
it is.
If you're that kind of scumbag, Nick, then you could always
go by this mirror.
I'm saying the electronic version overcame that. You can't cheat then.
Eric, didn't Battleship you had to put the light in, right? They look like Christmas lights. So you had to put them in the board.
No, that's right. That's light bright.
No, but no, you're right.
No, not light
bright. The pegs. No. It's the pegs. You're right.
Yeah, it's the pegs. It's the pegs.
And you could tell if somebody was cheating because you would record your misses too. So if like they move their piece and you're like, wait a second.
They did make it a big. I remember like a more elaborate version where there's almost like a sonar. Thing. Where you could see the light and it would go like this, and it would tell you.
It would tell you if you hit.
My brothers played it a lot. I will tell you to this day, I will say, you sunk my battleship.
There you go.
Great marketing.
It was a great.
And
just think about like back in that era. You would just see commercial after commercial on Saturday mornings for these things, right? So even if you didn't have them, you felt like you had them. Because you would see, or you go to the library and you'd play them at the library. The library would have a closet full of games, the local library. So it's definitely a bygone era.
And simple, not complicated. Like a lot of these new games, they try to overcomplicate it. You don't need something like that.
Yeah, which leads me to my honorable mention. And it's not a game, but it's a company that makes games. And I'll put a link in the show notes. They're called Button Shy Games. And they make games that are wallet-sized. So all these games are very small. They're like a wallet. But what their thing is,
Eric's shaking his head.
is what their thing is with Button Shy Games is the game can only have 18 cards. Like that's the trick. So whoever develops a game, it has to be on 18 cards. So it could be double-sided. But they're really innovative. They're interesting games. One is like a horse race. It's called Mint Julep. And they're just great pocketable games that you could bring on vacation with you. They're quick. They're easy to set up. They're easy to learn. Like Nick said, there's not a ton of rules, and it's really ingenious. I love supporting like an independent company like this because they really work with these developers to do this. And the games are like $8 or $9, and you kind of get something sent to you. They'll make a couple of expansions for a couple of bucks more. But like I said, their credo and their rule is the game has to be only 18 cards. So this way you're not getting into these expansive games about, with decks and craziness. And, a lot of them are building a map, or you're kind of drawing and drafting. So I'll put a link for Button Shy Games because I really like to support these guys. And they've got some specials coming up. Also, I have a ton more, but this is just a sample of just easy stuff. Like whenever I go away on vacation or go somewhere, I throw a couple in just in case, like, because you never know. And again, you're not putting you're not packing away this giant board game and pulling it out. It's like, we got a couple of minutes, or let's play a game. So
I think the last time you came to visit,
I brought
me. He brought a couple. He's pulling them out of his pockets. He had the what do you call it? The
three of your 5 picks were portable games.
Yeah.
Pocket games.
See a trend.
Dean brings the fun. He brings the fun.
It literally, he's like,
no matter where I go.
Yeah. There you go.
So he comes with a trench coat and he opens it up and there's all these.
I got games. We didn't even talk about the Mattel Electronics era, but anyway. So let's talk about what game is there a game that you hated to play or did not want to get involved with?
Yep.
So Eric, you had one, I think probably right on the tip of your tongue. You're ready to unroll it. So what game was like, nah, this is a no-go. I'm not, it's not my cup of tea.
Well, for me, it's you say love it or hate it, Monopoly.
There it is. Right? It's one of those ones.
It's just one of those games. I played it, sure, but it's just I
divisive,
don't really
very divisive.
Get anything out of it. It just kind of like lumbers along, and it just gets so, and it's just I'm done.
It lumbers along to a devastating conclusion too. It's like bankruptcy, so it's kind of like
right.
Like people get picked off like one at a time. Like it is kind of, when you look at it that way, it's kind of like, this is not a happy game. Here's all my property taken. That's fine.
Well, that's when you start subverting the game too, especially after you had a couple. And then you start, okay, well, let's make this interesting. So what do we, So then it goes there, and then of course they did make that kind of a version of the game as well. So I mean,
Monopoly, the drinking version. Couldn't have that. Nick, is there a game that's just like
I never got into charades, which you would think as an actor I would love to do, but it never ended up like a good game.
Felt too much like work.
Yeah, if it's a Friendsgiving thing, if they say let's play Twister, you're like, wait a second, make sure. No. The Game of Life. That's my least favorite game. I hated it. I thought it was boring. You put these little pegs in the car and you go. It was just like life. Like life is not a game. Life is mundane. You want a game to escape life, right?
Guess what, Nick? You're living it. You're living it.
And it was
the game of life right now.
And I could never spin that thing properly. It would kind of fall
out.
I was like,
never played a game of life.
Because it had like those plastic hills that you would put.
You never played the game of life? Consider yourself lucky.
No.
Wow.
Never.
That's a ringing anti-endorsement from Nick.
Well, I kind of feel that's the thing to say about Monopoly too, right? It's part of, you got to pay bills, you got this, so it's
So, am I working or am I having a good time? What's going on?
Right. Yeah.
I got to buy life insurance.
You pay my electric bill? Why is this?
Actually, you guys may have made me hate Monopoly. I'm not sure.
You draw the card, like pay each player $50 for repairs.
Yeah, it's like
it's like real life.
When somebody said it, I don't know who said it first, Nick or Dean, when said you either love it or hate it, I was like biting my tongue. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to hold
it. Sean, what game do you just not? What is it?
I mean, I enjoy lots of games. I would say there's games I haven't played that I don't have any desire, like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if that counts as a board game.
It does.
It's board game, card game.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't do anything for me as far as I know people love it.
A lot of those RPG. A lot of those RPG
but if we're talking board game, like Risk is something that with all those little squares, I never played a game of Risk.
Risk was going to be Risk is a game that I want to like. I want to love it. But it takes. You want to talk about a game that could take forever is Risk, and it's just like it's so daunting. There's, you're moving from continent and defending borders, and I'm like, I want to like Risk, but I just can't. Like, it's just too. It's too much. Yeah, that was going to be mine.
It makes me think of that Seinfeld episode where Newman and Kramer are playing it on the subway and the pieces go flying because they're taking it because they don't trust each other. You're not keeping that in your apartment. No.
Risk was like the highbrow game. Like that was like the it's the game of world domination. It's kind of crazy. Christy, game that you love to hate, or
I didn't have anything. But since it was said, and he did it to me so many times, I'm going to piggyback on Sean.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons is not a game I would ever have an interest in playing. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Nick, did you ever play Dungeons?
I used to play it a lot as a kid, and I have friends who have turned it into a business. It's really resurging now. Yeah. I tried playing it, and I just it takes commitment. And it's you either love it or hate it, like a lot of you have said about a lot of the other games. But it really is popular right now. It's really especially during the lockdown. I think a lot of people got back into it, and the last movie about it was a lot of fun. So
Chris Pine,
got to bring it back to the movies.
Our friends at Cast Party,
have
a podcast that you can listen to where they play
and
they play D&D. They actually play D&D, but they perform the characters and they perform the story. So it's almost like listening to a radio show,
exactly.
Which is very, you don't have to like the game to listen to their podcast because they do all the work for you. They play it. There's conversation between the players, but then they act as the characters as well, and it's really well done podcast from Cast Party.
And they have these performances where they play the game in front of an audience, a live audience. So you're not playing it, but you're watching it. So even if you've never played it, it's entertaining. Yeah. But yeah, it's hit or miss. Depends on you need a good dungeon master to make it really exciting, and you need to have people who are really involved.
Yeah. And
a lot of imagination.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
Which is a good thing. I mean that part of the game is you're actively thinking of these scenarios, and it just goes crazy. But yeah, you got some pretty people out there that really they really get into this thing, and they after hours, you see them playing it's Thursday night, we're there, and they're just the whole thing.
Yeah. Eric, you hit the nail right on the head. It was kind of an imagination thing. It was kind of like, here's the guide, here's the basic rule set, but then you kind of narrate the thing and create it yourself. And
you create your own story. Yeah. So,
Frost County, circa 1990s, Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den. That place ended
they
up
had a lot
being very scandalous when it shut
things
down.
going on back there. Lots happening there, and across the way, Blimpies.
Yeah. Games Workshop is kind of now, for that now. Like, I don't know if there's still Games Workshops, but the Warhammer games with the figure building, and it's somewhat similar, not exact, but close to it. So.
Can I plug one more thing? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it. Plug away.
If we're talking fun at parties,
is it Don't Pee in the Street, the collector's edition?
Selfie in the Street. PlayStation Buzz games. These are like the game shows.
What are you getting paid by this company?
It's an affiliate link.
Look, I could use a new PlayStation, but these are great. We've had so much fun with these kind of things in board games, like with the family. Yeah. It's like you pick a character, and then it's like board games. Different. It's almost like Trivial Pursuit because it's all trivia questions, but you have your own buzzers, and it's like it's so cool. So if people like video games, that's the way to go.
Buzz.
Nick's address will be in the notes for the free PlayStation.
Buzz, you can mail him. You can send the PlayStation. Right, send it to me. I'll make sure it works. Yeah. And then send it out to Nick. No, I think we've had a lot of great nostalgic games, and I think that's and I think that fits in with what's going on now. I think there is that wave of nostalgia for some. You can get overloaded on watching YouTube videos or playing video games, and sometimes you want to have that tactile in-person experience. And I think that's why you're seeing that resurgence of game tables in like Barnes and Noble or some of these comic shops where people kind of gather. And they play these games, in person. I think people are starting to realize there's value in that again of the human interaction and not just online with the headset and kind of playing online. So hopefully we've given everybody a bunch of things to chew on. There's a lot of great games that everybody has chosen. We're not going to link them all, but you'll have to listen. And if anything intrigues you, go ahead and try and find out where it was in the episode. But Nick, thank you so much. City of Kick blog. We'll be linking to that. Maybe he'll do an adjunct article about games.
Might.
Right? Maybe. Sean Grady, sir, thank you so much. Drama from the Past is his gig. Going dormant for the summer, hunkering down like the troops during the Revolutionary War, and then he will resume his spring campaign quite soon. So we look forward to seeing more from that. Christy Cuomo, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you
for attending and giving us some of your great picks as well. Yeah, I loved hearing what everybody's, and I think the award goes to Eric for the classics. I think Eric gets the classics award with Chinese checkers and Parcheesi. I mean, those are games those are games, like I said, that you would see when you would open the door to the closet.
I have Chinese checkers.
Yeah, I think his picks were kind of like the ones that kind of really kind of brought me back to like, oh wow, like
it smells like mothballs, and you're pulling them out, and the board is like yellow and ripped on the ends.
The box are split. Yeah, they're split. The sides are split. But that's the great thing about games like that is it is a tactile experience. You're setting up the board. You're putting the cards where they go. You're getting the pieces out. There is something to that, and I think that's what people are starting to realize, that there's that. Especially children that grew up in the digital age, that there's this whole other thing that they kind of have missed, and it's kind of a sad thing. But I'm glad that we're able to bring the list to people and maybe give them some ideas. Again, is it timely for Thanksgiving? Absolutely. But you can play these games, holidays, whenever, or set up a board game night. Those are popular things in libraries and local clubs. Sure. We're going to put out a bunch of board games. People show up and they pick what they want and they have a good time with it. So that's going to do it for this episode of the 3324 podcast. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We've got a great group of people there going on. So, and there's a whole bunch of other episodes you can check out about movies, music, and a whole bunch of great guests that we have on those episodes as well. So go ahead and have at it, dig in, and pick something else that you like. And then the best thing you can do for us is share it as well. Let other people know. It helps us in the algorithm, makes it easier for other people to find us. And you can have a hand in doing that. So we would appreciate your help, as it were. So for Christy, for Sean, for Nick the Professor, and of course for Eric, this is Dean. And roll again because you got doubles.
Nice.